Today we're going to talk about lines and angles and review some parts of lines. Remember that a ray has an end point, part of the line segment, and the point that shows the direction that the line is traveling in. A line segment has two endpoints with the line in between. And a line has two arrows showing the direction that it's traveling with the line in between it. While an angle shows how two rays go one direction and another with a center point called a vertex. Now let's talk about it, how mathematicians would describe it. If I was talking about line CD, I would write CD and then I would put the symbol for line above it. If I wanted to talk about CD, the ray, I would show it like this. If I wanted to talk about CD, the line segment, I would just draw it like that. I can also talk about angle A, B, C, and B would be this vertex of the angle if I was looking at A, B, C, and that would name this angle right here. If I said I wanted you to look at angle A, C, B, you would know that I was talking about A, C, B in that direction. If I wanted to draw two parallel lines, and I'm going to call these lines, this one is AB, and this one is CD. And I'm just doing that so that we know we're talking about the lines AB and CD. These are parallel lines. And I like to remember that they're parallel because the two L's in parallel show that they run side by side. I can also show AB, again I'm just going to call these AB, as intersecting lines with CD. And they don't have to intersect at the point, but they could. And intersecting just means that they cross, but they do not cross at a 90-degree angle. And these are intersecting lines. The last pair are parallel lines. And again, I'll just name these AB. And perpendicular just means that it always crosses at a 90-degree angle. And we'll spell perpendicular for you. Perpendicular. I'd like you to go back, please, and copy down these three sets of lines as they cross: parallel, perpendicular, and intersecting. Please hit pause and copy this image down. Do you have it? Now I'd like you to go back and write down the lines that you see: parallel, perpendicular, and intersecting, and bring that in with you tomorrow. The last thing I want to talk about is using a protractor. We use a protractor to find the angle of the lines or the line segments. So for example, if I had a line segment, I would line it up with this zero line, and we're going to use this zero right here, and then it would also fall on top of the other line segment. So in this case, because the zero is on the inside numbers, again, I'm using this zero. I'm not using this zero because we're not using the outside of the protractor in this case. And as I look at it, I see that the angle is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and there's 60. So let's call this a 62-degree angle. Let's try another one. Again, I'll use the inside of my protractor, which means I see that the 0 is here for my baseline, and then we'll make the other line come up like this. So, again, I'm going to use the inside 0, so that means I'm counting up on the inside 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, but it doesn't quite get to the 80. So let's call this 78 degrees, the angle. Oh, I should have a little 0 up there. Okay, let's try one more. Okay, this time I am going to try and trick you a little bit. Again, the vertex of your angle always goes here, and then you put one of your lines on the 0, and the other line is where you're going to read it. Go ahead and hit pause and see if you can tell me what the angle is of this angle. Did you say 72? In this case, that would not be correct. If you did say 72, hit pause and see if you can see why it's not correct. What about the rest of you? What did you say? Let's see if we can figure this out together. Now, this time I'm using the outside 0. So it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 is true on both, 100, and not 110, but more than 105, so let's call it 107 degrees. We're going to use our own protractors in class, but just as a reminder, where the two angles meet is right here. I'm going to switch to red. Is right here, and that is the vertex of the angle. In one way or another, one of the lines has to rest across the 0, so you can turn your protractor either way you want to make it rest on the 0. The other line is the angle, and this is how you show angle, that you're going to measure. And so in this case, again, am I using the inside 0 or the outside 0? What do you think? I hope you said the inside 0, because again, I'm laying my angle right here on this 0 line, not on this 0 line. So as I count up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, oh, that one is almost exactly 110 degrees. I'm going to try a couple more, and then tomorrow we'll play with the protractor. Go ahead and read each of the 4 of these angles and write down on your piece of paper the name of each of these angles. For example, 45 degrees. You do not need to recreate and duplicate the protractor and the angle. Just write down the number. I can't wait to see you tomorrow.